Alright guys, so go ahead and open up your desert and glacier practice test. I realized I spent the whole day typing in desserts instead of desert. I apologize for that. I'm human. Alright, so let's knock this out. So first off, near what latitudes are most deserts found? Very simple. That's going to be your 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south latitude. Remember that is your subtropical desert, right? The 90 degrees north and south is going to be your polar desert. All right, those are two of the 5 types of deserts that we're going to need to remember for Thursday. Okay, these other ones I'm not really worried about. Just cross them out and move on. On which side of a mountain are deserts often found? And that's going to be on the leeward side, where the wind is leaving. When it's sinking, dry air, that's going to come down, it's going to heat up, which is going to increase the capacity of the air to hold moisture, and then it's going to basically super dry that area, which is why you get very low precipitation. And remember, it's the amount of precipitation that you get annually that is going to define whether or not you have a desert. All right. What are the largest particles that can be carried by the wind? And that would be sand. Right. Commonly, sand. Remember sandstorms. I think this was actually a question on one of your quizzes. So, just keep that in the back of your mind. All right, now desert pavement we really didn't go over, so let's just go with deflation and move right along. All right, then next we have which material is wind deposit derived from suspended load? That's actually going to be loess, so that's just a vocab. Sand grains saltating in the air jump higher than sand grains saltating in water. This was actually a quiz question, and we said that's because water is going to have that resistance, that viscosity. So B, air is less viscous than water, right? Remember, that's like trying to throw an object in the pool or try and throw something through the air. It's a whole lot easier through the air. All right. Transformation of semi-arid regions into deserts is called desertification. And as you can see, pause is a beautiful thing. So there are your answers. And moving right along. The Great Basin and Mojave Desert of Western North America exist primarily because they lie in the rain shadow of the coastal mountains. Then, Barcane Dune, the points of the crescent. Remember, Barcane's like a bull, so the points are going to point downwind, and the slip surface is the concave downwind curve. Sand dunes behind beaches are typically transverse. Think about it, the wind's blowing onshore, offshore, and the dunes are forming perpendicular. All right. During erosion, loess tends to break off in vertical sheets. And just a reminder, loess is simply just wind-blown sediment. So it's a pretty generic term. But this is going to be in your yellowish, grayish coloring, which is going to be a little bit different than when we were talking about having the iron-rich desert varnish, which again we said was that film, more clay-sized. All right, then much of the desert surface consists of sand, gravel, and rock rubble. This is again a good throwback to the discussion that we had on the desert landscape and pavement and all that good stuff. So that's going to be D, all of the above. All right, then on to a quick review of the dunes. So when we look through here, I actually like to do my definition and then look back. So long parallel to wind is going to be my longitudinal. Long perpendicular to wind, this would be my transverse. Curved with center downwind, meaning that you're pointing back, it's going to be parabolic. Curved with center upwind, it's going to be my barcane. And then dunes that radiate with radiating ridges or star type pattern. Cool. So little technique, little tricks for you. Diagram? Anybody? Diagram? That would be an interesting idea. Alright, let's keep going. Which type of glaciers are the largest? That would be your ice sheet, also known as a continental glacier. Remember that the largest continental glacier is Antarctica. Which type of glaciers occupy mountain valleys? That's going to be your alpine glacier, also known as a valley glacier. Remember, those two are synonyms. Now, this was the section I mentioned yesterday. I hope you guys took a second to really think about these, right? Because I believe if you can classify them as to, when it's happening, what's happening, you'll have a better chance of being able to identify them. So, arête is going to be erosional, right? Remember, that's that blade-like feature that's going to separate two mountain valleys, right? So sharp, definitely going to be associated with valley glaciers. Cirques, that's going to be that amphitheater shape. Again, that's in the northern region with valley glaciers. Again, the definition, very helpful. Drumlin is depositional. Key thing is that is going to be till deposit, and that's when the glacier plows through a recessional moraine or a moraine and basically curves the material into this teardrop shape. So it's going to point in the direction that the glacier advanced. Till deposit, good to go. Moraine, again, also made of till, but those are going to be the long ridges of till deposit, again, directly from the ice. Till, again, unsorted, unstratified glacial deposit. All right, eskers are going to be deposits, but this time they're going to be of drift. And we remember that eskers are going to be sinuous. Hanging valley is an erosional feature when the main line of the main trunk of the valley gets eroded into that big U shape, and then the tributaries come back, and we see these with waterfalls. Horns, erosional feature. That's where you have multiple cirques cutting away, and you end up with these big pointy things with the little cirques forming in here and in there and in there, and glacier moving out. Hope my little drawings are helping. Kames are drift deposits, and they look like little moguls. And then a kettle is technically a depositional feature, right? A chunk of ice broke off, and then sediment fills in around it. So kettle's going to be a little bit of depression, but it's not carrying material away. What type of moraines form from the coalescing or joining together of two glaciers? And that's going to be your medial moraine. You get a lateral moraine and a lateral moraine, right? The side of one merges with the side of the other, right? So there's a whole bunch of stuff along here and there, and now as the glacier moves forward, it's all right down the center. All right, let's see if I can erase that. Whew. Scribbles. Craziness. All right. What term refers to the glacial melting below the snow line? That's the zone of wastage or ablation. Remember, I like the synonyms. Don't be confused. Basal slip and plastic flow are how they move, and calving is when the ice front breaks off into the sea. Remember the video on Shooter? All right. Now, which of the following lists is written in order of increasing metamorphism? Remember, glaciers form by the recrystallization of snow. And snow has to be the first thing we see. Glacial ice has to be the last thing we see, right? And before I can have glacial ice, I need firn. So snow, granular ice, firn, glacial ice. Too easy. Where does most glacial ice originate? That's going to be in the zone of accumulation. Right, my first thought when I think that, I'm like, oh, mountains or in the middle of the continent. No, just zone of accumulation. Where can snow build up, build up, build up, and have that time to go through that metamorphism that we just talked about? What glacial landform is represented by Long Island, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, Long Island are two terminal moraines. Two terminal moraines. Remember, the Wisconsin ice sheet came down, retreated, and then came down a second time. So the second coming made the North Fork the Harbor Hills Moraine, and the South Fork was already there from the first advance, the Ronkonkoma Moraine. What term refers to the large piece of ice breaking off the front and the coastal, right? I can just stop there. I know that that is defining calving. In a continental glacier, ice flows from the center to the edges, just like a pancake, right? And that's because the ground tends to be more flat, right? When you have less of a gradient, the snow is able to pile up, pile up, pile up. If you want to understand this further, go home, take your frying pan and pour pancake batter in. When it's flat, make a pancake, and then pick up your frying pan and hold it at a 45-degree angle and pour pancake batter in it. Okay, don't do that over the stove. Maybe do that over the sink, because what's going to happen is your pancake batter is going to run right out the pan. And that's why valley glaciers cannot grow super thick, because they're on a slope, or they're on a steeper slope than a continental glacier. All right. About what portion of Earth's land area is currently covered by glaciers? And that's going to be the 10%. During the last glaciation, we know that it was 30%. All right. So, go through your notes. Go through your quizzes. Make sure you know your vocabulary. Then, go over and look at your diagrams. Look at maybe a diagram of how different deserts form. Look at a diagram about how or what your different dunes are going to look like. Come over and look in glaciers at the erosional features, so cirques, horns, arêtes. Then you want to go through depositional features, so whether it's types of moraines, lateral, medial, ground, recessional, terminal, or other depositional features like drumlins, kames, eskers, outwash plains, kettles. You want to be ready to be able to identify those things. And I really like the pictures that either we had in the notes or in that other PDF study guide set of notes from Hunter College that I posted with this assignment. So I'd like to mix it up a little and give you guys a couple questions where you're going to actually see stuff, and then other ones where you're just going to identify stuff in the diagrams. To help you, there are additional diagrams in your classwork. So you'll see glacier diagrams, different varieties of diagrams. So go ahead and take a look at that. And we're going to actually stop there because the last page, was not for you guys. So we'll get over to oceans at some point. Don't worry. Right now, take that time, go work hard, and I'll talk to some of you guys in the extra help sessions. Cool. Thanks.